Hello, I'm Steve Smallman and this is a video for Manchester Libraries to celebrate the Summer Reading Challenge. Whee! This year the theme is Wild World Heroes and we're going to be drawing some step-by-step animals. Now in this video we're going to be drawing the tortoise. We're going to start with the shell. Now the top part of the shell is just a very faint curve on that. It's mostly straight and then it curves round either side and then comes down at a bit of an angle. Looks a bit like an upturned pudding bowl. And then this side of it you need to do an angled line down like that, and at the back you need to do a curve. So we've got an angled line coming down, a little bit at the bottom and then a curve, and you could put a little line above that and make a ridge, and the same on this side, a little curve on the end there and a little line to make a ridge there. And this is where his leg comes out, this is where his other leg comes out, and his head comes out at the front. So if we put a line there for his neck and maybe another line there. Now for his leg, his front leg, needs to come out straight and then bend a curved line that comes right round and then it goes back like that. It's really quite weird shape, isn't it? It's almost like a pear but a bit straighter on the sides, and that's where his leg comes out of the front of his shell. Now the back leg is a different sort of shape. It tends to come in and out a little bit like that, and then tends to be a little bit flatter at the bottom. So it's almost like there's a little oval shape on the bottom and legs coming down slightly bent like that. And then there's a little ridge underneath there, a little ridge underneath there to make the hole that his leg comes out of, and then there'll be a little ridge there, and that will come underneath to make a line underneath, curved line underneath for the bottom edge of his shell. So we've got the shell, the neck, and two legs coming out. There'll also be a little pointed tail at the end. Now for the tortoise's head, you need to do, it's almost like a rounded off square. It's sort of like a square or a rectangle that have the corners rounded. Okay, and then just inside from that back edge we're going to do a circle that's just breaking through the top, and another little top of a circle just a bit further over, and then where this curve is we're going to follow that line down to about here, and then we're going to come in and do a little V shape there, and then we're going to come back this way and then bring that end up into a smiley mouth. Now the turtle's bottom jaw doesn't go quite as far as that, so we're going to come in just the other side of that, do a little curved line that comes down like that. So then we're going to put some little wrinkles, because tortoises are very wrinkly. Some little wrinkles around his mouth, some wrinkles around his eyes like this, and some little corner wrinkles like that too. A little oval shape there for his nostril. Now I'm pressing a little bit harder so we can see it better. I want our tortoise to look a little bit sleepy, so I'm going to bring his eyelid right down here like this. I'm going to do another little line like that. I'm going to put his pupil just half hiding under that eyelid like see there's a black pupil, but I've left a little white bit that I didn't colour in, so it looks like the light shining on it. Let me just do that little round bit in the back of his head and follow that down to his neck. You see I'm now pressing a little bit harder because now we know where everything is. We can just press a bit harder on it and make it stand out more. Some detail on this front leg. We've already got a few wrinkles under there, but tortoises have quite odd front legs. They have big sort of irregular shaped toenails on them like this, and they tend to have lots of big lumps and bumps and things on them as well. So it's that sort of shape. They sort of push their way backwards and forwards by almost like turtles swim through the sea, I suppose, but they're doing it on land, aren't they? And I'm going to press a bit harder on here. This is where his shell comes down. We can put a little bit of shadow in there because that's inside his shell. That's where his head and his legs are coming from. And we can put a little bit of shadow under here as well because that's where his legs are disappearing into his shell. Now we've got a little lip there already, we've done that. We'll follow that down all the way around to there. Now we can put some shadow in here, this bit as well, where his other leg's coming through. And we can give him a knobbly knee by doing a little spiral sort of wrinkles on his leg there like that. Some little wrinkles down the back of his leg as well. And some more big, slightly irregular looking toenails and some spots and things on his foot. His tail, we can put a bit of shadow on that as well because that's in the background. Maybe put a couple of spots on that too for good luck. You can even have a couple of little spots on his face too. And now we need to do his other leg on the back, so just inside there we're going to do 2 lines coming down and another little foot in the background there with some toenails and things, and we can put a bit of shadow over that whole foot because that's in the background. And then we can put a bit of a shadow on the ground underneath him, and then we can put his other leg, which is going to be coming forwards like this, a little bit higher up so it's level with this one, about there like that. We can show a couple of spots and a little bit of detail, but we're not going to see very much because it's in the background, and we can put a little bit of shading over the whole thing and a little bit of shadow on the ground under his head. And then we need to do the markings on the shell. Now the bit underneath just has sort of stripes that come around like that. And this bit, if we do a line that goes round the shell like that, a slightly curved line, and then we do another one that comes round the shell a bit higher up like that, and then we'll do some lines coming straight down. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in between those lines, the next one will go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in between again we'll go 1, 2, 3, probably one there as well. And then if you want to make it look even more interesting, you can do some little what I call square spirals inside those shapes. So you start following the shape of the square but inside, and then you come in again and in again and in again, and it makes a sort of really nice tortoise shell pattern. You have to cheat a little bit when you can't see it all, but you get the idea. And I think a little bit of shading underneath the tortoise under there. You can even smudge it a little bit if you want to. Using a soft pencil is quite nice sometimes to do a little bit of smudging. It just makes it look a little bit more interesting sometimes. And if you go overboard and you do too much smudging, you can always use your rubber and tidy it up afterwards. There we have our tortoise, and I'm just going to use my rubber now and tidy up the edges. All those little lines that you put when you were drawing it that you don't need anymore. There we go, and if you've ended up rubbing out some of the lines you wanted, then you can always just go back, put them back in again. And there we have our very chilled, very jolly old tortoise who moves very, very slowly, which is why you have these tiny little